Welcome back. ANC delegates will elect a new leadership at the party's national conference at the end of this week. Over the weekend, in fact, the incumbent Cyril Ramaphosa will battle it out with Dr. Zweli Mkhize for the presidency. Let's talk about that and more with Bheki Mtolo, the ANC KwaZulu-Natal Secretary, with us in studio this afternoon. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for coming in. So in the next half an hour, members of Parliament will converge to vote on whether or not to adopt a report on the Palapala farm saga. Some ANC MPs have indicated or have reportedly said that they in fact would want to vote for the adoption of that report, but the party line is to vote against it. Where do you stand?
No, firstly, the issue of impeachment and the vote of no confidence, a political campaign. It's got nothing to do with anything. Then members of the ANC, they should know that that political campaign should be defended and be voted against by the African National Congress. And the National Executive Committee, which I'm part of, we've taken a decision that we'll vote against that report because it's not binding. But also we've agreed that we can't develop a lower bar of impeachment in South Africa. It's not about President Ramaphosa, about a principle, because a president holds office for 10 years, but you can't create a president that will stay with us for some time. I don't think there's a member of the ANC in Parliament who can vote against an ANC decision. If that happens, my advice to that member, when he leaves that, he must just resign, because unfortunately he will have to be suspended and be expelled from the ANC. So
you agree that any member of the ANC caucus in Parliament who would vote for the adoption of this report should be sanctioned?
Of course, yes. Remember, South Africa's got a party system. Parties contest elections and they win seats, and those seats are occupied by individuals on behalf of those parties. I've not known of any party since democracy that has agreed that their members vote willy-nilly as they wish, because they carry a mandate of a party. We contested elections as the ANC. We invested on the campaign. We put a manifesto to South Africans as the ANC. No individual member. The new paradigm shift that is allowing independent candidates to stand. It's a new thing. It's only then in 2024 that they will do that, not now.
It's interesting that you say that, because there was a report I was looking at earlier, comments attributed to you. I think they said you were speaking at the Moses Mabhida Regional Lekgotla at the Athletic Stadium in Alexandra Park recently, where you were quoted saying this: "The report is not flawed. The judges did not say the president is guilty, but that he may have a case to answer. Why is he not using this opportunity to clear his name? I don't think there's a court that will overturn that report." Were those your words? Were you captured correctly?
I think there's a vid on that. Go and look at the vid. None of these things we are saying is.
So you didn't say that?
No.
So let's cast our eyes ahead then to what happens today. If indeed this report then goes through Parliament, it is rejected. How does the ANC internally hold its president accountable and pursue the issue of Palapala? Do you think that conference, where now the report has been sent to Palapala and the Digital Vibes one as well, will be able to reach an actual conclusion about what needs to happen internally?
No, the ANC is very lucky, and President Ramaphosa is also very lucky. By Friday, the conference is starting. Then the ANC, the only thing to hold the president accountable is to remove the president. That's why delegates of KZN, they will go there and vote to remove the president. Then let's not do backdoor. Let's accept democracy. Ramaphosa was elected by a conference for 5 years. His term ends on the 16th of December. Anybody of the ANC who wants him to be not a president must accept, must wait, must be tolerant, and go and mobilize delegates to vote him out. Once they vote him out, then that's the only way you can remove him. Not through backdoor and shenanigans. Let's go there and be steadfast and remove him democratically. He was elected democratically.
But if the branch,
steadfast on that.
If the branch nomination numbers released by the ANC's own electoral committee are anything to go by, he seems quite a distance ahead of his challenger, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. Do you think there's still time, given on what's happened at Palapala, for a dramatic shift in the way in which those branches will vote?
I think you choose to not follow ANC politics and conferences. You will go in various provincial conferences and various regional conferences. That people, they go there without having been even nominated, let alone nominated less. They're not even nominated, they emerge. I can give you 2 examples about KZN. The current deputy chairperson was nominated from the floor, and the current treasurer, they emerged. And various regional leaders in KZN, some of them, they people were nominated by 90% of branches, because nomination is just nomination. The voting in a conference, there's a lot of work that has been done from the day the branch nominated and now. And we have met branches region by region, zone by zone, sub-region by sub-region. I can tell you now, without fear of any contradiction, that by 20 December, Zweli Mkhize will close the conference.
And you speak of Zweli Mkhize, he said this, and this was in the News 24 interview that he apparently gave, that NEC members who did not support the push to not adopt this report on Palapala in Parliament today were basically muzzled and bullied. Do you know if that really happened?
What I know is that the ANC has taken a decision that will vote against the Section 89 report, and we know that every member, including Comrade Zweli Mkhize, will vote against that.
But were dissenting voices bullied and muzzled, those who felt differently?
In the ANC, we discuss. Once we discuss, we have a decision. Our duty is to communicate decisions, not what happened in the meeting. The decision of the ANC is that, which is the collective wisdom of the National Executive Committee, will every member of the ANC who's there, all the 244, they will vote against that Section 89 panel report.
And I want to go back a few steps and talk about why KZN feels that Cyril Ramaphosa is not the right man to lead the ANC into the next 5 years. That was before a position that you held, am I right to say, even before the Palapala issue. Why do you believe he's not fit for purpose?
That's why we are making a mistake. We are making it about President Cyril Ramaphosa, this thing. The National Executive Committee is elected for 5 years. And then there's a point where the Electoral Commission will dissolve the National Executive Committee. And there will be empty space. From all 80s, there will be no president. When there is no president, then branches of the ANC, they will be accepted, given an opportunity to put a new president. That's what we are doing. We are not contesting President Ramaphosa. There will be no president.
But you don't want him to come back, even though he wants to return, and so many other branches, and I know that's not an indicator of whether he'll win, but there are so many other branches who want him to come back. So why is that not your desire as a province for him to return?
Now, you want us to be like, I don't know, even sometimes even animals not behave like that. There's no possibility that in an organization that's got almost 1 million members, they can agree with everything that is happening. It will be stupid of us.
I'm not saying you should agree. I'm curious about why you think he's not the right candidate.
No.
Because ultimately, as happened,
that's why we're making a mistake. That's why we're making a mistake. We're not saying he's not the right candidate. His term has ended. We are putting a new president.
Why not a second term?
There's no rule that there must be a second term.
I'm not saying there's a rule. I'm saying why not? Because it has happened where leaders of the ANC have had a second term. Why do you think he should not get one?
That is our view, that we want a new president. It's our view. It's got nothing to do with President Ramaphosa.
Why?
It's got something to do with our assessment of Comrade Zweli Mkhize, his performance in government, his performance in the ANC, his performance in KwaZulu-Natal, that we think if he can lead, he will do what he did in KwaZulu-Natal. Remember when he took over after Comrade Ndebele, KZN was one of the most solid and united provinces. He grew the membership of the ANC with almost more than 100%. But he took over all municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal, even in the north, all districts. But in terms of how he ran government, he ran one of the most effective provincial government of the ANC. When he left, within 2 years he was the premier, he left the province with a huge financial surplus. Then, in terms of government record, even the way he left as Minister of Health, you know, he was one of the highly praised Minister of Health, how he fought COVID. That's who he is. He doesn't sleep, he works day, night, he needs reports, he pay attention to detail.
Okay. Let's talk about when he left, right? Because he left just after the Digital Vibes allegations. I know he's not been charged. I know
you know he's not been charged.
I know he's not been charged. That's what I'm saying.
You also know that officials that were dealing with that tender are back at work. They were not fired. You also know all those
things. But the officials aren't running for the ANC presidency. So I want to stick to the...
But they are the ones who are dealing with the tender.
So let's talk about that because, yes, it's not led to a criminal prosecution. There hasn't been a trial.
And there will be none.
Also,
and there will be none.
We don't know that for a fact.
I'm telling you, there's a fact there will be none.
Well, law enforcement who are responsible for making that decision have said that they've not concluded on whether he should actually face charges or not.
No, Hawks said, for this country, for you to be charged, you are not charged by MPA. MPA doesn't investigate. We're investigated by the Hawks, the police. Then they bring a case to the NPA prosecution. Right. Then the Hawks says, they are not investigating Zweli Mkhize. I was going to be charged.
That doesn't mean it may not recur. We've seen...
It's not going to occur.
But we've seen in history, whether these are politically related cases or not, there have been cases where there isn't an investigation.
Unless we are planning
no, but what I'm saying is it's possible for there to not be an investigation at a time and only for there to be an investigation at a later date. You and I don't know because we're not going to make that decision. Should there be? I'm not saying this. We don't know that.
I know that there will be none.
Should there be? Why are you so confident that there will be none?
There will be none. Remember, the SIU made a report. They said they quoted a cabinet resolution. And then said, because of this cabinet resolution, said this thing. He just write them a simple one letter, one word. Show me that cabinet resolution because I'm new to cabinet. I came in 2018. They could not prove. They returned back to him. There's no such a cabinet resolution.
If he were to be charged.
They charge the officials in the department.
If he were to be charged,
they charge the officials in the department for manipulating a tender.
Right.
The decision of the department, the dispatch process said no, they didn't manipulate it deliberately. They committed negligence because it was emergency, it was covert and all that. They committed negligence. That's why they were sleeping with a small fine, and as we speak, they are back to work. If you know the PFMMA and FMMA, you cannot charge a politician for a tender fraud or manipulation. Because for a politician to manipulate a tender, he must use the officials. Then both the officials and the politician will be guilty of manipulating. Once you let off the officials, it's a simple sign that the politician was not involved. There's no way you can find the politician guilty, yet the officials are not guilty. Then,
well, that's why they will be proving someone else's innocence by someone else.
That's why the Hawks
doesn't always square out.
That's why the Hawks issued a statement that Zwelin Kizza is not under investigation. Because remember, Hawks is a specialized team. They look at the allegation, they look at the evidence. They don't just follow every stupid information that comes before them. They look at it, and if they see that it carries weight, they start to investigate. When they saw that thing is rubbish, they didn't even investigate.
They didn't say they'll never investigate him, though. That they said we're not investigating doesn't mean that'll never happen.
Let me get to my question. What you must accept is that Zwelin Kizza is not under investigation, is going to be a president.
That's fine.
In December.
Here's what I want to ask you.
It depends with this thing.
No, it doesn't actually. Do you know, outside of work, I don't actually think of any of you.
I know.
Here's where I'm going. Should there be, down the line, because the ANC has elected a president who served only for charges to come out later. Yeah. I'm not going to go into that particular
we also know that the charges are coming out later. They've briefed you, these guys.
Well, I'm briefed as much as you are. You and I read the same material. Here's where I'm going. So if you were to be in a situation, as you believe that Zwelin Kizza will close conference, if he were to be charged at some point during his presidency, would the ANC in KZN, at least the one that you're part of as the leadership in the province, would it support its president through a trial, if it came to that?
No, what you are pushing me, you want me to name a child before he's born. And I'm not going to do that. When you are pushing me that you think my wife is going to get pregnant and give a child who is a boy, what will be the name of that child? I can't. Until my wife gets pregnant.
Most of us have a preferred name, though, don't you?
And deliver a boy. Then once the boy is there, I will start to think about the name. Now, that's what that's why I'm making it. You want me to name a child? A child is not born. It's not even conceived. Then we are just literally playing with me.
So you are undecided on whether you would support him if he faced a trial?
You want me to name a child that is not born?
Let's talk about Bathabile Dlamini. She was on the channel last night. I don't know if you were able to catch her interview. In fact, she was speaking to Kathy Mutlahlana, and one of the issues, as you know, that's got her quite upset is that she's now been excluded for running for NEC membership because of her perjury conviction. And what she said to Kathy was that it's a minor charge and she doesn't believe it should in fact lead to her disqualification for the NEC. Is she right?
Yeah, she's very 100% correct. We think the Electoral Commission made a huge error, not in bad faith. Maybe they've done that in good faith, but I think they've made an error. We have raised that in the Initial Selection Committee, but also with the Electoral Commission, that I think they must look at the rule. Because the rule says, if you are charged for a serious crime, it specifies a serious crime and you are sent to prison for more than 6 months. But Sabile Dlamini was not charged for a serious crime. He was also not sent to prison for more than 6 months. He was given an option of a fine.
I hear on the option of a fine, but a person who was a minister in cabinet found guilty basically of lying during a court process, which is what the perjury conviction was. Is that the best quality of ANC cadre available? Why not elect people, for example, who don't have any kind of conviction, especially one not as recent as hers?
No, you see, you must understand that The branches, they know the capacity of individuals, because one thing that this thing is done to eliminate everybody that they know in the ANC has got a capacity to mobilize. For example, Comrade Bawinile Batabile has got a huge track record of mobilizing women of our country. Then they are targeting all these credible leaders to put them aside so that the ANC get weakened.
Are there no credible leaders without conviction?
It's a political decision that ANC must be weakened by tainting all credible leaders, all leaders that could wait to mobilize the ANC. So the ANC, when it's like that, it becomes weak.
Who's tainting them?
It's counter-revolutionary forces.
Who are these forces?
Don't you think in South Africa we are waging a revolution without its opponents?
But who are
For example,
forces?
DA is our opponent.
But
you know, DA is our opponent.
Would the opponent have made a lie to a court?
It worked with them. It worked with opposition NGOs, Helen Susan Foundation or Afra Forum. But because also what you are not telling people in court you don't get convicted because you have committed a crime. I can tell you in this country, there are people who served for rape for 15 years. A truth discovered later because the guy just could not get a best lawyer.
Well, to be fair,
you find that these NGOs, because they are, these NGOs, because they got massive funding from international donors. They get the best legal firms in the country. Then if you got a less legal firm, you get confident. Not necessarily because they've committed a crime.
But Sabine is very different, though, from someone who's disenfranchised and poor and cannot afford the best legal representation. She, in fact, herself accepted the conviction post-court when she addressed that crowd. And she lied to a court. So whether they are counter-revolutionary forces or not, are you saying those forces also made her to lie?
We are missing a point.
No, but the point is that she did lie.
No, we are missing a point. We are missing a point of saying, and you don't understand, members of the ANC. As the ANC, we agree and respect a court decision, even if we disagree with it. Then you could not, as a member of the ANC, the leader of the ANC, undermine a court decision. It's a court decision.
But she could appeal it. She could appeal it if she disagrees with it. If she feels she was wrongfully convicted, why not appeal it?
No. That's what we are saying. We are saying it's not disfranchised. Tabile Dlamini was getting about, a minister is getting about 96,000.
Yeah, that's not a poor person.
No, don't do that. 96,000 per person that is paying a bond, is paying for kids at school. Can't afford an advocate that will pay 40,000 an hour in a high court.
So that's
not easy
post.
Like that.
And I mean,
not easy like that.
But that is post.
You yourself, you can't afford an advocate.
That is but that's why I don't lie to court. She did. Accepted the conviction.
No. I don't know. Maybe I've made a lot of lies.
No, but I haven't lied to a court. I haven't even appeared before a court. So that comparison doesn't stand. She lied to a court.
Maybe you will appear in court.
So why is it
if I can ask your girlfriend, maybe you've lied to you many times, your girlfriend.
Well, not about the business of state, if I have.
At least you lied to your girlfriend.
Well, maybe the trick...
Meaning you are a liar like Batabile Dlamini.
Well, I'm not a minister. No,
imagine if you can lie to your girlfriend.
Of perjury.
Imagine if you can lie to your girlfriend.
I didn't lie about a process that affected the well-being of millions of grant beneficiaries.
But you lied.
Not in a criminal matter. But she's guilty of perjury. She lied. So why is it that in the ANC there are no, as you're saying, people who are able to? Well, let me not say there are no people. Why is it that someone who's able to lie to a court during legal proceedings is not, on that premise alone, unsuitable to stand? Because that is a serious thing. It's not murder, yes, but to lie before a court, what else can you be trusted to not lie about?
No. Well, now you are just, I think you are personal to Batabile. I don't know, maybe you wanted him to while he was a minister, to do something personal for you.
No, only saw her on a flight once. We've never even interacted.
You are just personal to her, Shem. And then your obsession about Batabile Dlamini you must just keep it. You must just keep it. What you must understand is that Batabile Dlamini is loved by South Africans.
Well, many people are loved. That doesn't mean they're suitable for leadership.
Who are you? Which standard of leadership you have learned? From which book?
The ethical one, where people who are convicted don't stand for leadership.
Which one is that?
It's globally accepted. So are you saying which book? Let me go with that. Let me go with what you're saying. Let me go with what you're saying. So even if Cyril Ramaphosa were to be convicted,
hang on for me. Anything. You just say things that you hear from.
Hang on for me. So if, let's say, Ramaphosa were to be convicted of whatever charge in relation to Palapala, but it's not fraud and corruption, would you be in favor of him mounting a political comeback, perhaps, if he loses this election, later to be elected because, let's say, he, as you say, is able to mobilize and lead the ANC. Would that be fair?
Why do you think Ramaphosa will be convicted?
I said if, which means should it happen, not it's going to happen. That's my premise.
Now, we want me to know what will happen when Ramaphosa is convicted.
I'm saying, would you support him?
There's no possibility of him being convicted.
In principle, based on what you're saying, if he was able to mobilize and was not convicted or sent to jail, as you were citing in the case of Batabile Dlamini, do you think then he should be allowed back in the fold, should he decide to do so later, to lead continuously in the ANC?
No. Now you are pushing, you are creating your imagination and you make it objective reality. That's your imagination that Ramaphosa may be charged, may be convicted.
It's a possibility.
For
He's
now,
under investigation
for now,
by law enforcement.
For now, there's no such a thing.
It's not something I've dreamt up. It's a legitimate legal
When he's charged, call me to dispute. I will answer.
Okay, Carl Niehaus, is the ANC right to expel him?
No, Carl Niehaus will deal with that. I'm not a spokesperson of Carl Niehaus.
Are they right, though, as the party to sack him?
I'm not the spokesperson of Carl Niehaus. Carl Niehaus will appeal to the NTCA and deal with that thing. We can't reduce the whole provincial secretary of such a big province to be a spokesperson of an individual.
No, I'm not asking you to speak to him. I'm asking for the KZN position.
No, we can't have a position on Carl Niehaus.
Oh, so you don't
think
Carl Niehaus is worth a position?
No,
as discussion
just have a position on Carl Niehaus.
So you don't think he's worthy of that?
Please, man, please respect me, Chief. I can't have a position. The whole province is to discuss. You mean the PC must meet and discuss the Carl Niehaus? Hey, you are not taking us serious, Chief.
Bheki Mtolo, good to speak to you, sir.
Thank you.
All the best at conference, Bheki Mtolo, with the ANC KZN Secretary there.